100 enemy soldiers and taken 30 prisoners. Human losses were heavy, nearly 50 dead, but they had one. Maria Santos walked through the captured station. The Valdorian flag, a symbol of 10,000 years of empire, lay burned on the floor. She ordered her soldiers to record everything. Set up the transmission equipment, she commanded. I want to send a message to High Prelate Vorix himself. The recording was simple. Maria stood in the captured command center, the burning Valdorian flag behind her. She looked directly into the camera, her eyes hard as steel. High Prelate Vorix, she began. 5 years ago, you came to our world. You killed our children. You've burned our cities. You called us weak. You called us insects. You thought we would break? She paused, letting her words sink in. You were wrong. The galaxy hit Earth first. Now we are coming for you. This station is just the beginning. We will not stop until your empire is ash and your people face justice for what they did to ours. You wanted a war? Now you have one. The message was sent across space to Valdoria Prime. 3 days later, it reached High Prelate Vorix. The alien leader watched the recording in his throne room. For the first time in his long life, he felt something strange. It was not quite fear, not yet, but it was the beginning of doubt. Find them, he ordered his generals. Find them and destroy them. I want every human in this galaxy dead. But finding the Defiance was not easy. Nathan Cole's quantum drive let the ship jump anywhere instantly. One day, they attacked a Valdorian convoy in one system. The next day, they appeared on the other side of conquered space. The Empire sent hunting fleets, but they were always too late, and the attacks kept coming. Maria did not just fight. She also freed prisoners from Valdorian labor camps. She attacked supply lines. She destroyed weapons factories. Each victory was small, but together they began to hurt the Empire. More importantly, other species began to notice. The Valdorian Empire had conquered over 100 different species. Most had given up hope long ago. They had accepted that the Empire was too powerful to resist. But now, watching these strange new creatures called humans fighting back, something changed. Hope began to spread. On a dozen different worlds, conquered peoples started to whisper. They shared videos of the Defiance attacking Valdorian ships. They told stories of the human general who had declared war on the Empire itself. If the humans can fight, they said, maybe we can too. Maria learned of this through captured communications. She understood that humanity alone could not defeat the Empire. They were too few, too new to space. But if they could inspire others, if they could build an alliance of all the species the Valdorians had crushed, then maybe they had a chance. We need to find these other species, she told Nathan one night. We need to bring them together. Nathan nodded. I have been thinking about that. Our technology gave us a chance. What if we shared it? What if we gave other species the same weapons we have? Give away our greatest advantage? Yes, because our greatest advantage is not really the technology. It is the spirit that created it. The drive to never give up. If we share what we have, we show these other species that we are not trying to build another empire. We are trying to build something new. Something better. Maria thought about this for a long time. It went against every military instinct she had. You did not give your best weapons to strangers. But Nathan was right. This was not a normal war. This was a war for the future of the galaxy. Do it, she finally said. Find these other species. Tell them that humanity wants friends, not subjects. Tell them that together we can do what none of us can do alone. Nathan smiled. I knew you would understand. The next phase of humanity's fight was about to begin. They had shown the galaxy that the Empire could be hurt. Now they would show the galaxy that the Empire could be beaten. But first they needed allies. And finding allies in a galaxy ruled by fear would not be easy. Maria looked out the window of the Defiance at the stars. Stretching endlessly into the darkness, somewhere out there, the Valdorians were hunting her. Somewhere out there, enslaved species were waiting for someone to give them hope. We are coming, she whispered to the stars. All of us, together. The Valdorian Empire had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. In that time, they had conquered 112 different species. Some they had enslaved. Others they had almost completely destroyed. All of them lived in fear. But now, for the first time in thousands of years, that fear was starting to fade. Commander Daniel Wright was 35 years old, a calm man with kind eyes and a gift for speaking. Before the war, he had been a diplomat, traveling the world, trying to solve problems with words instead of weapons. Now, Maria Santos had given him the hardest job of all. Find the conquered species, she had told him. Convince them to join us. Daniel traveled on a small ship called the Messenger. It was not a warship. It carried no weapons at all. This was on purpose. Daniel wanted to show that humans came in peace, not as conquerors. His first stop was a hidden space station called Nexus Prime. It floated in the debris field of a destroyed planet, a secret meeting place for resistance groups from across the galaxy. Getting there had taken months of careful searching and quiet conversations. When Daniel's ship arrived, he found representatives from 12 different species waiting for him. They were strange and wonderful creatures. Some had scales, some had feathers, some were made of living crystal. All of them looked at the human with a mixture of hope and suspicion. "So you are the ones who attacked Outpost Crix?" said a tall being named Kirith. His body was made of shining crystal that caught the light in beautiful patterns. He was the last elder of the Solari people, whose homeworld the Valdorians had destroyed 300 years ago. "We have watched your fights with great interest." "We are the ones," Daniel said, bowing his head in respect. "And we want to fight alongside you." A creature that looked like a large spider spoke next. Her name was Vila, and she represented the Arachne Collective. "Why should we trust you?" "The Valdorians promised friendship once. Then they burned our colonies." "I understand your fear," Daniel replied. "The Valdorians came to our world without warning and killed 3 billion of us in 3 days. We know what their promises are worth. That is why we bring something different. We bring proof." He activated a hologram that showed blueprints and designs. The aliens leaned forward, studying the images. "This is our quantum drive technology," Daniel explained. "It allows ships to travel faster than light, to appear anywhere in the galaxy instantly. We are offering to share it with you, freely, no conditions." The room went silent. The aliens stared at Daniel in disbelief. "You would give us your greatest weapon?" Kirith asked. "Why?" "Because we are not trying to build an empire," Daniel said. "We are trying to end one. We cannot defeat the Valdorians alone, but together, all of us, we can. Humanity does not want slaves or subjects. We want partners. We want friends." The debate lasted for days. Many of the species were afraid. The Valdorians had punished resistance with genocide before. What if this human alliance failed? What if the Empire crushed them all? But in the end, hope won over fear. "My people have waited 300 years for someone to stand against the Empire," Kirith said at the final meeting. 300 years of hiding and praying? If we do not act now, we may never get another chance. The Solari stand with humanity. One by one, the other species joined. The Arachne Collective, the Novar Republic, the Drenni tribes, 12 species in total, each bringing their own ships, soldiers, and knowledge. The coalition of free species was born. Dr. Susan Palmer arrived at Nexus Prime 3 weeks later. She was a human scientist, a small woman with gray hair and endless energy. Her job was to help the coalition species adapt human technology to their own ships. "Every species is different," she explained to Daniel as they walked through the station. "The Solari ships are powered by crystal harmonics. The Arachne use biological systems. We need to make our quantum drives work with all of them." It was difficult work, but Susan loved every moment of it. For the first time, humans were working alongside alien scientists, sharing ideas and learning from each other. It was exactly what Nathan Cole had hoped for. "You humans are strange," an Arachne engineer named Theta told Susan one day. "Most species guard their secrets jealously. They use knowledge as power over others, but you give everything away. Susan smiled. My grandmother used to say that a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. We make the galaxy brighter together, not by keeping others in the dark. While the scientists worked, Maria Santos was building a military. Ships poured into Coalition space from across the galaxy. Old vessels that had hidden for centuries, new ships built in secret factories. Within a year, the Coalition had a fleet of 300 warships. Crewed by soldiers from dozens of species, training them to fight together was not easy. Every species had different strengths and weaknesses. The Novar were excellent pilots, but poor at ground combat. The Drini were fearsome warriors, but had trouble with complex technology. The Solari could communicate through crystal song, but found human speech difficult. Captain Lisa Monroe took charge of the training program. She worked 18-hour days, teaching Coalition soldiers how to fight like humans. The Valdorians are strong, she told a group of Novar pilots. They have 2 ships and more soldiers. But they have one weakness. They are arrogant. They have not faced a real challenge in thousands of years. They have forgotten what it means to be afraid. We will remind them. The Coalition's first major operation was an attack on a Valdorian slave colony. 10,000 prisoners from 6 different species were held there. Worked to death in mines and factories. Maria led the assault personally. Human ships fought alongside Solari cruisers and Arachne carriers. They attacked the colony from 3 directions at once, overwhelming the Valdorian defenders. When the battle ended, 10,000 slaves were free. They wept as Coalition soldiers opened their cells. Many had been born in captivity, had never known anything but chains. Who are you? A young Drenny girl asked Lisa Monroe. We are the Coalition of Free Species, Lisa replied. And you are free now. News of the liberation spread across the galaxy. More species came forward, asking to join the Coalition. Slaves on a dozen worlds began to rise up against their masters. High Prelate. Orcs watched these developments with growing alarm. What had started as a minor problem with a single human ship had become a galactic uprising. These humans are a disease, he told his council. They spread rebellion wherever they go. We must stop them before it is too late. He ordered a massive mobilization. Ships from across the Empire were recalled to prepare for a final crushing blow against the Coalition. But Maria Santos was ready. She had spent 7 years building this alliance, training these soldiers, preparing for the final fight. The Empire thinks they can stop us, she told her Coalition commanders at a strategy meeting. They are wrong. We have something they can never understand. We have each other. We have hope. And we have a galaxy full of people who are done being afraid. She pointed at a star map showing the route to Valdoria Prime itself. The road will be long and hard. Many of us will not survive. But at the end of that road, freedom waits. Not just for humanity. For everyone who has suffered under the Empire's cruelty. She looked around the room at the faces of a dozen different species. United, for the first time in galactic history, let us end this. Together. The campaign to reach Valdoria Prime was the greatest military operation in galactic history. It would take 7 years, cost millions of lives, and test the Coalition to its breaking point. Admiral Christopher Hayes was chosen to lead the combined fleet. He was a 60-year-old sailor who had spent his life at sea before the Valdorians came. Now he commanded ships that flew between stars. The Empire controls 200 star systems between us and their homeworld. He told his commanders at the First War Council, each system is defended by forts, minefields, and battle fleets. We will have to fight for every inch of space. The first year was brutal. The Coalition pushed forward system by system, winning some battles and losing others. For every Valdorian base they destroyed, they lost ships and soldiers they could not replace. Lieutenant Patricia Garcia flew a fighter in the 4th Human Squadron. She was 23 years old, born after the bombardment of Earth. Raised in underground bunkers listening to stories of the world that was. She had never seen blue sky or green grass. All she had ever known was war. Why do you fight so hard? Her Sillery wingmate Kira asked her one day between battles, Patricia thought about it. Because I want my children to see the sky. I want them to walk in sunlight without being afraid. I fight so the next generation does not have to. The Battle of Corinth Nebula came in the third year of the campaign. It would become the most famous battle of the war. The coalition fleet was pushing toward a critical supply route when they were ambushed by the Empire's Second Fleet. 300 coalition ships faced over 900 Valdorian warships. The odds seemed impossible. They have us surrounded, a Novar captain reported, fear in his voice. Admiral Hayes studied the tactical display. The Valdorians were closing in from all sides. Standard military wisdom said to retreat to fight another day. But Hayes saw something else. He saw the Corinth Nebula, a massive cloud of radioactive gas and dust that filled the center of the system. All ships, follow me, he ordered. We are going into the nebula. His commanders were shocked. The nebula was deadly. Sensors would not work inside. Shields would be weakened. Ships could crash into each other without warning. Hey, sir, that is suicide, a human captain protested. Maybe, Hayes replied. But so is staying here. At least in the nebula, we have a chance. The coalition fleet dove into the glowing clouds. The Valdorians hesitated, then followed. It was a mistake. Inside the nebula, everything changed. The Valdorians relied on their superior technology, their advanced sensors and targeting systems. But none of that worked in the radioactive fog. Suddenly, they were blind. The coalition was blind too, but they had trained for this. They had practiced fighting in chaos, trusting each other instead of machines. Human ships flew alongside Arachne vessels, guided by nothing but instinct and courage. Patricia Garcia led her squadron through the swirling clouds. She could barely see her own wingmates, but she could hear them on the radio, their voices steady despite the fear. Enemy ship, bearing 270, Kira called out. Patricia turned and fired. A Valdorian cruiser exploded in the fog ahead of her. The battle lasted 12 hours. Ships crashed into each other. Missiles flew blindly through the clouds. It was the most terrible and the most glorious fight of the entire war. In the end, the coalition won. The Valdorian Second Fleet was shattered. Over 600 enemy ships were destroyed, but the victory came at a terrible price. Patricia's squadron had started with 12 pilots. Only 4 survived. Her own fighter was hit in the final hour of the battle. Fire filled her cockpit. Her engines were dying. She had 2 choices: eject and hope for rescue, or use her last fuel to do one more thing. She chose the second option, accelerating toward the biggest Valdorian ship she could find. She aimed for the command bridge. At the last second, she ejected, shooting away from her dying fighter as it slammed into the enemy cruiser. The explosion was beautiful. She floated in space for 6 hours, her oxygen running low, before a coalition rescue ship found her. When they pulled her aboard, she was barely conscious. The medic asked. I killed a battle cruiser, Patricia whispered with a weak smile. News of her bravery spread through the fleet. She became a symbol of what the coalition was fighting for. A young woman who would sacrifice everything for a future she might never see. The years ground on. Year 4, Year 5, Year 6. Each system captured. Each battle won and lost. The coalition pushed forward, never stopping, never giving up. Maria Santos did not lead from the rear. She was at the front lines, fighting alongside her soldiers, inspiring them with her presence. At 59, she was older than most of the officers under her command. But she fought harder than any of them. She should stay on the flagship. Admiral Hayes told her after she joined a ground assault on an enemy base. You are too important to risk. Maria shook her head. I cannot ask soldiers to die for something I am not willing to die for myself. They need to see me with them, not hiding behind them. The captured Valdorian prisoners could not understand this. In their empire, leaders were precious. They were protected at all costs. The idea of a supreme commander fighting in the dirt like a common soldier was madness. Why did they fight so hard? A captured Valdorian officer asked his human guards. "You cannot possibly win. Our empire has existed for 10,000 years. You are children playing at war." Captain Lisa Monroe visited him in his cell. "Do you want to know why we fight? It is not because we think we will win. It is because fighting is right. Your empire came to our world and killed billions of innocent people. You enslaved entire species for generations. Even if we cannot defeat you, we must try. Because some things are worth fighting for, even if you lose." The officer stared at her. "That makes no sense." "I know," Lisa replied. "That is why you are going to lose." In the 7th year, the coalition reached the Valdoria system. Behind them lay 12 years of war, starting from that first terrible day when the sky burned. Millions had died on both sides. Entire planets had been destroyed. The galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Hayes gathered his fleet at the edge of the system. 3,000 warships from 47 different species. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. "Beyond this point lies Valdoria Prime," he told his commanders. "The heart of the Empire. They have gathered everything they have left to defend it. This will be the hardest fight of our lives." He paused, looking at the faces around him. Humans. Solari, Arachne, Novar, Drenny, and so many others. All standing together. 12 years ago, the Valdorians thought they could destroy humanity in 3 days. They were wrong. They thought they could break us. They were wrong. They thought they could rule the galaxy forever. They were wrong about that too. He raised his hand in a fist. For Earth, for every world they burned, for everyone they enslaved. Today, we end this. The fleet jumped forward into the final battle. General Maria Santos stood on the bridge of the Retribution, the flagship of the coalition fleet. She was 63 years old now. Her hair had turned gray. Her face was lined with wrinkles from years of war and worry, but her eyes were still sharp, still burning with the same fire that had kept her fighting for 16 years. The morning started like any other morning on Earth. People woke up, went to work, and lived their simple lives. Children walked to school. Families ate breakfast together. No one knew that in just a few hours, everything would change forever. Maria Santos was a colonel in the United States Army. She was 47 years old, with dark hair and sharp eyes that had seen many battles. That morning, she was drinking coffee in her office at a military base in Colorado when the first reports came in. "Colonel, we have unknown objects entering the atmosphere," a young soldier said, his voice shaking. "Thousands of them." Maria put down her coffee and walked to the command center. The screens showed something that made her blood run cold. Massive ships, bigger than anything humans had ever built, were descending from the sky. They blocked out the sun over every major city on the planet. Then the burning began. The alien ships did not send messages. They did not make demands. They simply started firing. Beams of pure energy fell from the sky like rain. New York was the first to fall, then London, then Tokyo, then Beijing. City after city burned while humanity watched in horror. Maria tried to coordinate a defense, but it was useless. Human missiles could not reach the ships. Human planes were swatted from the sky like insects. In just 3 hours, over 1 billion people were dead. Maria whispered, watching Chicago disappear in a ball of fire on her screen. No one had an answer. The bombardment lasted 72 hours. When it finally stopped, 3 billion humans were dead. Most of the major cities were gone. Governments had collapsed. The world was burning. The aliens finally sent a message on the 4th day. A tall creature with gray skin and cold black eyes appeared on every surviving screen on Earth. "I am High Prelate Vorix of the Valdorian Empire," the creature said. "Your planet now belongs to us. You will serve the Empire, or you will die. There is no other choice. Resistance is meaningless. You are a weak species, barely worthy of being slaves." The message ended. That was it. No explanation for why they had attacked. No reason for killing billions? To the Valdorians, humans were simply insects to be crushed, But Vorax had made a terrible mistake. He did not understand humans at all. In the ruins of the world, survivors began to gather. They crawled out of bunkers and basements. They emerged from subway tunnels and mountain caves. And they were angry. Maria Santos led the survivors from her base deeper into the Colorado mountains. They found an underground research facility that had survived the attack. It was hidden so deep that the alien weapons had not reached it. Inside, she found Dr. Nathan Cole. Nathan was a physicist, a quiet man with messy brown hair and glasses that were always falling off his nose. Before the attack, he had been working on something called quantum travel, a way to move faster than light. Most people thought his work was just theory, impossible dreams. Colonel Santos, Nathan said when she arrived with her soldiers, "I am glad you made it. What is this place?" Maria asked, looking around at the strange machines and glowing screens. "This is where we save humanity," Nathan replied. He explained his work. For years, he had been studying how to bend space itself. He had discovered something amazing just weeks before the attack. It was possible to create a fold in space, to move from one point to another instantly. More importantly, it was possible to use this technology as a weapon. "The Valdorians think they are the most advanced species in the galaxy," Nathan said. "They are wrong. Their technology is old. They have not needed to innovate for thousands of years because no one has challenged them. But we have been pushing forward every day. We have been dreamers and inventors. And now that will save us." Maria looked at the scientist with new respect. "How long until you can make this work?" "I need time. Years, maybe. But I can do it. And we will buy you that time," Maria said. Over the following months, Maria organized the resistance. Humans came together in a way they never had before. Old enemies became allies. Countries that had fought for centuries now worked as one. There was no American or Russian or Chinese anymore. There was only humanity. The Valdorians sent ground troops to collect resources and capture slaves. They expected broken, defeated creatures begging for mercy. Instead, they found something else. They found guerrilla fighters who knew every hill and valley. They found soldiers who attacked from shadows and disappeared like ghosts. They found humans who would rather die than surrender. The first Valdorian patrol that entered the Colorado mountains never returned. Neither did the second. Or the third. "These creatures are more troublesome than expected," a Valdorian commander reported to Vorax. "They fight without logic. They attack even when they cannot win. They seem to have no fear of death." Vorax was not concerned. "They are animals," he said. "Send more troops. Eventually, they will learn their place." But the humans did not learn their place. They kept fighting. And deep in that mountain, Nathan Cole kept working. Maria visited him every week. She watched as his team of scientists made breakthrough after breakthrough. They were not just building a new engine. They were building hope. "I lost my wife in Chicago," Maria told Nathan one night. They were sitting in his lab, surrounded by equations and machines. "My daughter, too. She was only 14. Nathan was quiet for a moment. "I lost my brother in New York. He was a teacher. Is that why you work so hard?" Nathan shook his head. "I work hard because I believe in tomorrow. The Valdorians think they have one. They think we are finished. But humans have faced extinction before. Ice ages, plagues, wars. Every time we survived. Every time we came back stronger. This will be no different." Maria smiled for the first time in months. "You really believe that?" "I have to. And so do you. Because if we stop believing, then they really have one." 3 years passed. 3 years of hiding and fighting and dying. 3 years of small victories and terrible losses. 3 years of Nathan Cole working day and night on his miracle. And then one cold morning, he called Maria to his lab. "It is ready," he said. His eyes were bright with excitement and exhaustion. "The engine works. We can travel faster than light. We can reach their territory. We can fight back." Maria stared at the machine humming in the center of the room. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time.
"What about weapons?"
she asked. Nathan smiled. I've been working on that too. The same technology that bends space for travel can also bend space for destruction. We can create weapons that the Valdorians have never seen. Adrea felt something she had not felt in 3 years. She felt hope. Then it is time, she said. It is time to show them what humanity can do. She turned to Nathan with fire in her eyes. They hit us first. Now we are going to hit back. 5 years had passed since the burning of Earth. 5 years of blood and tears and endless struggle. But humanity had not broken. Instead, humanity had been building deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. In shipyards that the Valdorians never knew existed, humans had created something impossible. They called it the Defiance. It was the first human warship designed to fight among the stars. General Maria Santos, now 52 years old, stood on the bridge of this new vessel. She looked at her crew of 400 men and women. They were soldiers, scientists, engineers, and pilots. They were the best humanity had to offer, and they were about to do something that would shake the galaxy. Today we stop being victims, Maria said to her crew. Today, we become hunters. The Defiance was smaller than Valdorian warships, but it was faster and smarter. Nathan Cole's quantum drive allowed it to appear anywhere in the galaxy instantly. More importantly, it carried weapons that used the same space-bending technology. Weapons that could tear holes in reality itself. Their first target was Outpost Crix, a Valdorian military station at the edge of conquered space. It was a small target, but it would send a message. Captain Lisa Monroe led the assault teams. She was a young woman from Texas, only 30 years old, but she had been fighting since she was 25. She had lost her entire family in the bombardment. Now she lived only for the fight. Remember your training, Lisa told her soldiers as they prepared to board the station. These aliens are bigger and stronger than us, but we are meaner, and we want it more. The Defiance jumped into the system without warning. 1 second. Empty space. The next, a human warship sitting right inside the Valdorian defense line. The aliens had no time to react. Human guns opened fire. Missiles streaked toward the station. The Valdorian shields flickered and failed under weapons they had never faced before. All teams, go, Lisa shouted into her radio. Boarding pods launched from the Defiance and slammed into the station's hull. Human soldiers poured out, fighting through corridors filled with smoke and fire. The Valdorians fought back hard. They were warriors who had conquered hundreds of worlds. But humans fought with something the Valdorians did not. Understand? They fought with fury. Every human soldier remembered what the Valdorians done to Earth. They remembered the cities burning. They remembered the 3 billion dead. And that memory gave them strength that the aliens could not match. Lisa led her team to the station's command center. She kicked open the door and found a Valdorian officer trying to send a distress signal. Too late for that, she said, raising her rifle. The battle lasted for hours. When it ended, humanity had captured its first Valdorian outpost. They had killed over a TWS. Through the viewport, she could see Valdoria Prime. It was a beautiful world, blue and green like Earth had once been. Around it floated defensive platforms and the last great fleet of the Empire. 2,000 Valdorian warships, everything they had left, gathered to protect their homeworld. Behind Maria floated 3,000 coalition ships. 2,000 of them were from species that the Valdorians had conquered and enslaved. Now those same species had come to end their empire. "They're hailing us," reported Communications Officer Kevin Park, a young man from the Korean peninsula whose family had survived in deep bunkers. "Put them through," Maria said. The face of High Prelate Vorix appeared on the screen. He had aged badly since Maria had first seen him all those years ago. His gray skin was wrinkled, his black eyes tired. The weight of a dying empire showed in every line of his face. "Human," he said, his voice heavy. "You have fought well. Better than any species we have ever faced. The Empire offers you terms. Withdraw your fleet now, and we will grant your coalition complete autonomy. Your worlds will be free. We will never trouble you again." Maria considered his words. Part of her wanted to accept. So many had died. So many more would die if the battle continued. The offer meant peace, but she thought of Chicago burning. She thought of 3 billion dead. She thought of all the species that the Valdorians had crushed over 10,000 years, the worlds they had destroyed, the civilizations they had ended. "I have a counteroffer," she said. "Unconditional surrender. You will disband your military. You will pay reparations to every species you have wronged, and you will stand trial for your crimes, including the genocide of my people." Vorax's eyes widened with anger. "You dare to dictate terms to the Valdorian Empire?" Maria leaned forward, her voice cold and steady. 16 years ago, you came to my world. You killed 3 billion of my people in 3 days. You thought us primitive and weak. You thought we would break and beg for mercy." She paused. "You were wrong about us. You were wrong about everything." She stood tall, her voice rising. "The galaxy hit Earth first. Now we are coming for you. Not for revenge, though you have certainly earned it. We come to make sure that no species ever suffers what we suffered. We come to end the Age of Empires forever." Vorax stared at her for a long moment. Then he cut the transmission. "All ships," Maria commanded, "prepare for battle." Final battle lasted 9 hours. It was the most terrible and the most glorious fight in the history of the galaxy. The Valdorian fleet fought with desperate fury. They knew they were fighting for their survival, for everything their empire had built over 10,000 years. They held nothing back, but the coalition fought with something stronger than desperation. They fought with hope. After centuries of slavery and fear, species that had given up on freedom were finally taking it back. They fought not just for themselves, but for everyone who had ever suffered under the Empire's rule. Admiral Hayes led the main assault, his flagship punching through the enemy formation. Captain Lisa Monroe commanded a boarding party that captured 3 Valdorian battleships. Lieutenant Patricia Garcia, now a squadron commander, destroyed 17 enemy fighters before her ship was finally too damaged to continue. And through it all, Maria Santos directed the battle, moving ships like chess pieces, finding weaknesses in the enemy formation, inspiring her soldiers with her calm voice and steady hand. When the last Valdorian warship surrendered, the cheering could be heard across the fleet. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years embraced each other. Tears of joy and sorrow flowed freely. But the war was not quite over. Maria led a team of human soldiers down to Valdoria Prime, to the Imperial Palace itself. The building was massive, a monument to 10,000 years of conquest. Its walls were decorated with treasures stolen from 100 worlds. She found High Prelate Vorax in his throne room. He held a ceremonial blade in his hand, the same kind of weapon his ancestors had used to conquer their first planet. "I will not be paraded before your coalition as a trophy," Vorax declared. "I would rather die with dignity." Maria shook her head. "No, you do not get to escape that easily. You will stand trial. You will face the families of everyone you killed. You will answer for the crimes of your empire. That is justice. Justice." Vorax laughed bitterly. "What do you know about justice? You are just the latest conquerors. In 1,000 years, your coalition will be just like us." Maria looked at him with something close to pity. "You still do not understand us. We do not want an empire. We never did. We just want to be free, and we want everyone else to be free too. That is the difference between us." She signaled her soldiers, who moved forward to take Vorax into custody. As they led him away, he looked back at her one final time. "History will remember me as the ruler of the greatest empire the galaxy has ever seen," he said. "No," Maria replied. "History will remember you as the fool who thought he could destroy humanity." 1 year later, the first session of the Galactic Assembly met on a space station built between the stars. 112 species sent representatives. For the first time in galactic history, every intelligent species in known space had an equal voice. General Maria Santos, now retired from military service, was asked to give the opening address. She walked slowly to the podium. Looking out at the assembled delegates, she saw Solari and Arachne, Novar and Drini, humans, and dozens of others. All of them watching, waiting. 16 years ago, she began, my world was attacked without warning. 3 billion people died. For a while, we thought it was the end of everything. We thought we were alone, facing an enemy we could not possibly defeat. She paused, remembering all those who had given their lives. But we learned something important. We learned that we are stronger together than apart. We learned that hope is more powerful than fear. We learned that the bonds between species, between peoples, between individuals, those bonds can never be broken by force. She looked directly at the camera broadcasting to every world in the galaxy. The age of empires is over. Let this be the age of cooperation, of understanding, of peace. We have earned this future with our blood and our sacrifice. Let us never forget the price we paid for it. 20 years later, Patricia Garcia returned to Earth for the annual Remembrance Day ceremony. The planet had healed. Cities stood again where ruins had once been. Children played in parks, under blue skies and warm sunlight. She walked along the memorial wall, a structure that stretched for miles, inscribed with the names of everyone who had died in the first bombardment. 3 billion names, each one a life cut short. A young boy tugged at her sleeve. "Excuse me, were you in the war?" Patricia knelt down to look at him. He had brown hair and curious eyes. He reminded her of herself so many years ago. "I was," she said. "My grandmother says you were a hero." Patricia smiled sadly. There were many heroes. Most of them never came home. The boy nodded seriously. "Why did the aliens attack us?" "Because they did not understand us. They thought we were weak. They thought we would give up. They did not know that humans never give up." The boy thought about this for a moment. "We showed them, did we not?" Patricia looked up at the clear blue sky, the sky she had fought 16 years to see. Somewhere up there, the galaxy was at peace. Somewhere up there, species that had been enemies were now friends. Somewhere up there, the future was beginning. "Yes," she said, smiling at the boy. "We showed them." She stood and looked one last time at the memorial wall, at all those names, all those lives. "Thank you," she whispered to them, "for everything." Then she walked away into the sunlight, into the world that they had died to save. The war was over. The galaxy was free. And humanity, that small, stubborn, wonderful species that had refused to break, had earned its place among the stars.